My idea for quilting this is to quilt several strips with one pattern across. As you can see, I have vertical strips as well that I want to do something else in. Today I want to show you how to create a pattern to fit exactly in a specific space using a continuous edge-to-edge design. The height of my three strips that I'm going to be putting my design on is 6 inches. So I indicated here under total height 6. The width that I measured 15.5 inches I put in down here in this spot, indicating the width of that pattern, which is the same width in 2 spots across that little quilt. I did not want my pattern to go the entire 6-inch height, so I indicated by selecting here that I wanted 5.75 inches for the height of my pattern. And I wanted several patterns across each section, so I played with this number right here under pattern width until I had 4 patterns across the 15.5 inches. Because I previously indicated my sewing area for the quilt top that's available, I'm ready to mark the spot for this row that I want to quilt. I'm going to move in just a little bit from the edge of my row at the top to place this pattern in the center. At the left hand side, I'm going to press Quilt as Rows. It transfers my design to quilt motion. I'm going to press the top left button, indicating the top left portion of my design. Press Pull Bobbin. The machine will move to the right spot to pick up the bobbin thread where the pattern will start. After it picks up the bobbin thread, it moves to the side. I can pull the bobbin thread to the top. I press Sew. The machine will move back to the original spot where it will start. Take a couple of locking stitches for me. And then it begins to sew. The machine is stitching the last pattern right now, the top of the pattern, the bottom portion of the pattern, and we'll stitch up to the end of the spot right there. Oops, I miscalculated by about 2 stitches. I need to do a little bit better job next time of calculating it on the left side where I start. But it created the pattern 15.5 inches wide. I've moved my machine to the second area along this strip. On my screen, I pressed the top left again, indicating that I put my needle at the top left of this next section that I plan to quilt. Again, I follow the same procedure. Pull bobbin. The carriage moves to the center of this design, which is where this particular design starts its stitching. Carriage moves to the side. I press Sew. Moves back to the spot where it picked up the thread. We'll take a couple of security stitches, locking stitches, and then it will start stitching the pattern in this section. 1, stitching the very last section of this pattern in this middle section. It stops at the end of the design that I had indicated into the program, and taking the locking stitches. And you'll notice that the very last section is a shorter section, which I want to show you how the computer program actually knows where the edge of the quilt is. This time, in this shorter section at the end of this row, when I indicated the needle position for stitching out this section and checked the top left corner button right here to place this section, you'll notice that my screen is pink, indicating that my pattern is not going to fit in that space, because the space that I had indicated when I first started quilting for the entire top went from the left side of the quilt over here to the right side of the quilt over here. What I want to show you is that when it's stitching, it knows where the edge of the quilt is. Picking up the bobbin thread, pressing sew, taking the locking stitches, section there's only 2 of the designs because they're still spaced the same distance apart as they were in the other sections. Stitching the very last design right now. Tracing the design on the screen. And there it is, stopping at the edge of the quilt, because it knows from previously setting the sewing area that it cannot stitch any farther. There you go, stitching a whole row in segments across the quilt.